Hey YouTube, this is Tom at TM Aquatics and I hope everyone's doing great. It is early morning on Thursday and the fish room is just starting to wake up, but one of the things that I want to do today is pull a cave out of this new 40 breeder back here. There's a first time spawn or first time father, and the fry are getting to the point where they're going to start venturing outside of that cave. Their yolk sacs are starting to disappear, and I want to get them out before they start coming out on their own, because the last thing I want to do is try and chase down 25, 30, 35 L134 fry out of this tank. So looks like the father did his job. Looks like it was a good spawn. It's time to get that cave out, see how many we have, get those fry into a fry box, start target feeding, and then eventually move them into a grow out tank. So anyways, that's what today's video is going to be all about. I hope you stick around and check this one out. Alright YouTube, we have these two new 40 breeders that we just set up recently here in the fish room. The tank on the left has 7 breeders in it, the tank on the right has 8. We do have our first spawn on the tank to the right, and looks like those fry are getting ready to come out of that cave. Now you can see there's a fry box up on this tank already. 3 of them have already come out. They came out, what, 3 days ago? Prematurely, because they had still quite a sizable yolk sac on them, but I was able to get them netted out. Didn't look like anybody was injured. They're all 3 still doing fine, so I think they'll make it without any issues. But the father, let me get my chair ready so I look up there. There's the father. That's the cave that we need to get out, and looks like he did a pretty good job. Now, a lot of people like to pull the eggs as soon as they spawn. They like to pull the fry when they're just recently hatched, because they're not able to suck on the side of the cave, if you will. Just makes it real easy to pour out. But if I have a father, the Pleco, a male Pleco, that is doing his job, and he does his job well, I see no reason in pulling the fry and the eggs and creating more work for myself. That's just my philosophy here in my fish room and what I choose to do. I know others do things quite differently, but that's how I do things here. If I have a father that is eating the eggs, or I suspect is eating the eggs, I'll go ahead and start pulling those spawns as soon as they hatch, or excuse me, as soon as they're laid, because it does no good to sit and just watch them disappear slowly as he snacks on them. But in this case, the L134 father looks like he did his job, and looks like we had a really good hatch. So it's time to get these out, see how many we ended up with. I'm hoping for 30 plus, but you never know. It might only be 10, might be 15. We already have 3 up in that fry box, so you know, we're gonna get that cave out. Now sometimes, and I mentioned this on my recent video with my L494, or maybe that was a members only video, so my apologies, but sometimes when you touch these caves, the males usually will respond 2 different ways. They'll either quickly abandon the cave, or they will dig in and flare their fins out. And I'm hoping he's the type that just jettisons out of that cave, because that is just a matter of me picking up that cave, pouring out the fry, and just makes life a lot easier. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get this cave out of this tank, and we'll pick it up from there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to climb up on a step stool here, get into that tank. I've got a plastic tote here. I'm going to fill it up with a bunch of tank water, and then I'll try to grab that cave, place the cave in this plastic tote. If the male comes out, that's fine. Hopefully he'll come out of the cave while it's when I touch it, while it's still in the tank. But you know, if he comes out in this tote with some fry, I'm not worried about that. I can easily scoop them out, but that's what I'm going to be doing. Get some water in the tote, and then get that cave, drop it in the tote, and then we'll take it over to the workbench over here and finish removing the Pleco fry out of that cave. Okay, so we have the cave here in the tote. The male did not come out of the cave, so we need to get him out. We need to get the fry out, and then we can do a count. We can get the fry up into that fry box on that tank and place the cave and the male back in. And then he'll be able to eat and feed over the next few days and regain a little bit of strength and stamina, and yeah, on to the next spawn. So let's take this over to the table, and we'll start working on getting the male and the fry out of the cave and see what this spawn looks like. Alright YouTube, fast forward about 6 hours. It's now the afternoon on Thursday, and I was finally able to get these little L134 fry out of the cave, at least most of them. Every time I touched the cave, the male would dig in as far as he could go, flare out his fins, and just wedge himself in. He did not want to let go. So it took a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of patience to finally get some fry out and then finally get the male to release. There were still some fry in the cave. Now I've already put there's already 6 fry in the fry box, along with 3 more that are still inside the cave. We'll go take a look at that. They do not want to come out, so they'll find themselves out in the next day or two when they're ready to come out. No sense in trying to shake them loose if they're just not ready, and 3 in there just won't let go. So there's a total of 9 already up in that fry box between the cave and others that I was able to get out earlier, and those that escaped the cave a few days ago. But all in all, we ended up with 36. So not a bad first spawn for this group of plecos, and the male did a fantastic job. Did an absolute fantastic job. So really happy with that. So now we need to get these L134 fry from this container, and we need to get them up into the fry box there. So that's going to require me to use both hands, and I'm going to go ahead, set the camera down, and get those fry up in that fry box, and I'll be back in a second. Alright YouTube, all 37 L134 leopard frog pleco fry have been safely moved into the fry box. There's still 3 of them in the cave, and they'll find themselves out within the next day or two. The rest of them are stuck to the side of the fry box, or on the bottom, or on those catappa leaves, or hanging onto the outside of the cave. But they'll be fine. So the next step is really just to turn the lights off and let them settle in, and then replace the cave down here. That cave was right there between those 2 on the bottom. So I want to put a new fresh cave in there for the male, so he can go back into the cave position that he prefers. And I know a lot of people are probably going to say, gosh, it certainly looked like a lot of work and effort to get those fry out of there. Wouldn't it just be safer or easier to pull the fry when they're first hatched, or take the eggs out and tumble them in an egg tumbler? For some, that might work, and I can certainly understand the argument for that. And again, I'll do that if I have a bad male, but I've never seen an egg tumbler work as good as a male Pleco. It's a good second option, but if you have a good male Pleco that does his job, it's been my experience with my fish in my fish room that he's going to do a much better job than a chunk of plastic blowing a bunch of bubbles around. So anyways, enough on that. Just personal experience and personal preference on how and when to pull the fry. You may prefer to pull earlier. That's fine. If that works for you, keep doing it. This works for me, so this is the method and kind of the timing that I use here in my fish room. But I know we have a bunch of other gravid females in here. This young gal, she is full and ready to go. She's a beauty. She's an absolute beauty. So I do expect these fish to be back on eggs within the probably next 10 days. Still waiting for this group over here to have a confirmed spawn. Still waiting for the original wild-caught group to have their first confirmed spawn of the year, but it'll happen. Everybody's getting close, and they're getting bulked up on some protein foods, and the females are getting real heavy, and their activity levels have changed quite a bit here in the past couple weeks as well. So looking forward to some more spawns, but we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I appreciate everybody taking time to watch my videos, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you haven't checked out the members tab, go ahead and click on that join button and see what you're missing out by not being a member of the TM Aquatics YouTube channel. And with all that being said, thanks again for your time, and until the next one, we'll catch you all later.